Oh, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Come
John
back
did.
in the kitchen. And I was, oh, so, wow. I was like,
Okay.
great job at archery this morning.
Right.
So archery target.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting
And I
to
looked
order.
and
I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at the minutes. Do we have any corrections or anything? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, I think we're up to the state library report.
I just wanted to check. Okay, I don't know that both Vanessa and Judy are participating remotely, so I just wanted to check and see if they had those or suggestions. So, state library report. So far this month, hi, Judy. So far this month, well, within the last month, we're supposed to have 3 migrations. One of them got postponed. But on September 19th, we were at Henry Henley for their migration, or their go live actually. It's actually for an automating library. It was very fast. They got their collection processed from, they didn't even have a card file. Just as, so they didn't actually even know what they had on their shelves. It was sort of
Oh, wow.
nice. Before they decided to join Evergreen, the then new director had started trying to just get stuff into an Excel spreadsheet so that she had a rough idea of what she had on her shelves. But then they threw all in with coming on to Evergreen, and I went out and did their migration training in mid-December last year, and they're live already. So that's an excellent turnaround. Very excited about that. And I haven't heard too much from them, so hopefully all quiet's good news. But they did add a new county to our account, so we're up to 66 to 92 counties now have an Evergreen librarian. Ruth and I were there on the day, along with both of their staff members. All right, and then on October 1st, we made it to Spiceland. It's a little bit of a juxtaposition here. Spiceland took 3 years in their cataloging project. So we had a lot of great cataloging parties there, actually. Some people in the room made appearances there at one time or another. So it was very appreciated to help them out. There were a number of things that got involved in slowing their migration down, but they are officially up and live as of October 1 this year. And that completes coverage for Henry County. So now everybody in Henry County is on Evergreen, and all their people is one another. If you want to. Up next will be Clayton Liberty Union Township. Clayton Liberty Township. I'm Clayton Liberty Union. I'd take that out
Just
later.
adding words.
Yeah, apparently, I wanted to have a very meaningful township. Clayton Liberty migration will be on October 28th, so that is coming up. I'm in talks right now with Putnam County for their go live in January. And Fortville, they're a solid third, maybe a little over on their re-automation project. So we'll see where that lands. I know they're looking for a director right now, which probably slows the process down a bit.
They have one.
Well, they found it.
Yes,
Oh, good.
they stole it from me. So. Karen Milliken is her name.
Okay.
I thought I sensed a tone.
Huh?
I thought I sensed a tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they found a director, somebody with Evergreen experience. That would make it a lot
Yes,
easier.
yeah, and she's all about it, so
Excellent.
I think it's gonna happen.
Fantastic.
Does she have a start date?
November 1st, I think.
electronic participation. Transmitting media continues, and here and there continues to go up and down, not down much, mostly up, as more libraries put more of their collections in. But currently 60% of all of the video discs in Evergreen are transitable. Almost 58% of all music CDs, and almost a quarter of the video games. Now, with the video game count, keep in mind I've added in all software along with the video games, so some of that isn't actually video games, but I know some libraries catalog it that way, so that number is a little fuzzy. Fine-free libraries, we've also had two more libraries join the completely fine-free program. We're up to 3 in juvenile, and our books are holding steady. Incidentally, those 2 are both of the new libraries that joined. They both had fine-free and auto-renewal to start, so. And that's our auto-renewal. We are welcoming Lynn Floyd as the new Evergreen Indiana sysadmin. This is for Tripper Conference this year. She'll be here in late October. Her actual starting date is October 21st. So she'll be joining us right in the middle of the Hackaway. So it will be a very exciting jump in. She's coming from South Carolina. Although she, as we were discussing earlier, she currently is moving out from Georgia, where she's lived for a really long time. So a bit of an adjustment coming up to the cold north for her, just in time for winter. But she's got a lot of experience with Evergreen. She has been a major force in the Evergreen international community when it comes to things like documentation and reporting.
Sounds great.
Always can use more help with reports, so very excited to have her. She's also a lot of fun. I'm sure you'll have a good time meeting her when she's here in December for our meeting. Speaking of the Hackaway, that is coming up October 20th through the 23rd. This is our 3rd time to host the event. We're looking at higher attendance this year. I have a few more people coming this year from Indiana, which is very exciting. We haven't always had much representation from Indiana, aside from in the past Jason and myself. Ruth's come a couple of times.
Yeah, but I didn't
Sarah's made
accomplish
some guest
anything.
appearances, Sarah Childs. But we're excited to have anyone that's interested to come. And when we were talking about it at annual this spring, I had several people mention that they were very excited about that because they really like having the event here and how we have it set up. So that's going well. The 2020 conference, I've got queries in looking for sites. See if we want to still do it at the fort or if we'll be searching for another location, try to see what availability we have for the date chosen, which you guys picked March 27th. So should have an update for you by the next meeting, if not before that. This is really annoying here. On the maintenance front, we are, of course, largely holding steady while we're waiting for Lynn to get started. But we did add some new Z3950 targets, or did a Z3950 target cleanup, took out a couple and replaced and added several more. Help deal with some of the continued queries we're seeing on the list. Like, I can't find the record anywhere, so hopefully this will broaden things out a bit. District of Columbia, that is the DC Public Library. InfoSoup is a consortium in Wisconsin. King County Library System is actually an Evergreen metropolitan system about the size of Indianapolis out in Washington State that runs Evergreen. Their lead developer actually does a lot of developing we all use. Libraries Online, I love their acronym, it's LION. Connecticut, MelCat, of course, our Michigan neighbors, Milwaukee County, and then Ohio, which are our Ohio neighbors. Training reports. I did my last regular round of them. I'm only a little excited about this.
Yay!
And it's up to Ruth this month, and you start teaching later this week.
Not this week, next
Next
week. Next week, yep.
rushing.
It's all right, everything's a rush right now.
And then I don't have this on the slide, but we're coordinating with both of the committees and we're coordinating in-house to do the fall refresh workshop for everybody. It is going to be a collaborative, both circulation and cataloging, and it's going to be about a 2-hour class. On the development front, Evergreen itself, version 3.4 dropped last week. We are on 3.2, as a reminder. Some of the things we're looking forward to that are new in 3.4 are catalog carousels, a redesigned booking module. Some of you may remember booking. It's currently hidden in Evergreen, but it's intended so that you can reserve materials in advance, whether that's room reservations or actual holdings like hotspots or something like that. Depending on how this looks, if it's actually functional this time, we'll probably bring that back with the next upgrade. Centralized management of template receipts. This is something a lot of people have wanted for a long time. You only have to set them up once. And they'll work everywhere at your library.
That's so
Some of this other stuff is a little more back end, but it will have major impacts on how the client works. Cross-tab communication. If you're a cataloger right now and you're trying to overlay something, if you open your windows in the wrong order, you can't overlay them. You have to reload everything. There'll be improved API access for patron authentication. They're actually building it out for specific vendors, so we don't have to use SIP if we don't want to. And a boatload of improvements to grid access, which include things like filtering. So you'll be able to click on the header and say, I only want to see stuff from this shelving location. And it will filter out everything that is in that list. And sticky headers. So if you have a long grid, the headers will always appear no matter where you are on the screen. This is not everything by far. There's a lot of back-end work being done in 3.4. This is a very feature-heavy work. So looking forward to seeing some of those in action soon. For example, I do have one sample. This is what the carousels can look like. This is not our catalog, obviously. This is a testing catalog, but this is what it can look like. It's very similar to what you're probably seeing in some other catalogs, or if you have Wowberry.
Wow, I was gonna say that.
One of the nice things about carousels is we'll set them up for, it will show generically for the consortium, but you can also set them up locally. So you will have your own set of carousels that you can present if people are using your OPACs or if they're logged in to their accounts.
Hey, Anna, so the API, the new API, off the top of your head, who's that gonna, what services is that gonna affect most?
I haven't seen the list yet.
Okay.
We're waiting on Lynn to start, and once she starts, that's one of the first things we'll probably start talking about. We'll start mapping out how she wants to do that. Because I know we've talked in the past about, since our support contract with our previous upgrader will end in December, we may need to try to target the end of the year. We may wait until later, but probably sometime this winter. Hold subscriptions. This is a project that Pool, which is the Consortium of Ohio Libraries, took the lead on. We are co-sponsoring the project along with Pines. We're currently testing the code. The one question I got from the community as we were going into the testing phase was, is this going to be a list and people are always going to get the books in the same order? The answer is no. One of the settings is the ability to randomize the whole queue. Have exactly explain what kind of randomizer they're using. I did ask, I haven't gotten clarification on that yet, but it will shake it up. And the way it works is basically you throw a group of patrons into a bucket, name the bucket with whatever you want them to have as a shared subscription book. Say, for example, I did James Patterson Readers cover. and then put in a couple of records for Patterson books, and you can place holds for as many people as are in the bucket on that title, once it's in place. So it should be really nice once they get it finished, but we've sent them a bunch of bugs already, and so we'll see how that times out. It's not likely to be in production before 3.5. Obviously, 3.4. Hopefully, we'll have it in before 3.6. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ruth so she can talk about everything the development community is doing.
I'm not going to talk about everything the development community is doing. I actually just received an email from our vendor for this project, the notes consolidation project, before I left the state library. So I'm going to be reading through that, and the testing window is going to be opening soon. So I'll be sending out an email tomorrow morning about that. Do you want me to talk about what that is exactly? Because it's still a little ambiguous to me what it is, other than it's meant to streamline the different types of messaging and notes that are in Evergreen. We have the notes field, we have the public and private messages that are in there, and so it's in the alerts as well. So yes, and it's meant to streamline that. I'm going to be picking it apart and seeing what it actually does. Maybe this afternoon, definitely tomorrow morning, because we haven't actually seen that yet. So, and then my encouragement for you would be that because this is the type of project that it is, we are one of the testers for this. And so if there are people on staff who have time to get in there in the test environment and do that you think about who they are and maybe prepare yourself to prepare them for it. We can go on to the next thing, I think, unless there are any questions about notes consolidation. The test window will only be about a month, and so we will be moving pretty quickly on that, and I'll have some instructions that are maybe differ from previous project testing, just because I'm the one leading it and I'm a little different from the people leading it. So, okay. What do you have next on that slide?
I don't have anything else.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have a question? I mean, I have other things here, but.
No, go for it.
Okay. There are a couple other things. We are waiting for, we're waiting for some revised specs for a geolocation project that I'm not sure who knows what about what exactly is going on. So the geolocation proximity thing, so if people are close to a library, they can identify what resources are there. But we're waiting on revised specs for that. They are due yesterday. So I got notification today that they should be here by the Hackaway, which is not yesterday, but they will arrive. A few other things that we are working through definitely include the testing strategy. So what I just kind of hinted at, that it may be a little bit different, I will have articulated and out to the community, Evergreen, Indiana community soon, as well as the development initiative. There is a new member. I'm not sure if that is, if they.
No,
Okay.
I think Carrie got the paperwork out.
Okay, so PALES, which is in Pennsylvania, has joined the development initiative, and I don't remember what level they joined at, but it was one of the higher levels. So it has increased the funding amount as well as the just the participation in the development initiative. Another one of my roles is to see if we can't get some other people interested as well. So that's one of my priorities for that. Let me see what else. Oh, another thing that we talked about, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Concerto data set that is generally used for testing, sometimes for, often is used for training as well. We'd like to expand that and make it a little bit more real world friendly and broader and deeper. And so that's a possible development project that we're looking at, because it would affect a lot of people and be really helpful all the time. So that's what I have for the development right now. Questions, comments, concerns? You could suggest things, but I'll probably forget them. Just kidding.
She's settling in nicely.
I can type things though, so I can look at them later. Did you say I'm settling in?
Yes.
Thank you. It's all a little overwhelming. I know. But still, I feel like I need to know everything yesterday as well. And I don't.
Oh, you know what? Yes, no, I'm fine. Never mind. For half a second, I thought I forgot the slide, but now I remember there is one that I think is there. Next to last page of the packet has the balance sheet on it. Major expenditure this term, or since you met last, was the archive authority control catch-up project that we did. We ended up sending in about 300,000 bibs, and it was $17,000. Have the exact numbers with me, but that's the only expense against that 25K. And then we have had to consult Jason on a couple of small issues so far. So that contract is reflected here. Under promotional materials, there was, because of how long it took to get the new contract in place, the state library was not able to order library cards for the Clayton Library migration. So I put those in the promotional materials section since we are promoting library cards. And then we had a small purchase for the EICC. Right now, we still have some rather outstanding pass-throughs as a result of the procurements. So we're still collecting on both the Gale courses purchase and the overdrive periodicals. What we have received hefty amount towards each. Payment program Q2 did finally close at the end of September, and Q3 is currently in collection. The Reference USA demonstration that we originally had scheduled this morning, the vendor was not available, so we are on the books for that presentation in December, and I'll be talking with her hopefully in advance of that about our possibilities for consortium discount.
All right, the cataloging committee met in September. We are decided we're going to put together kind of an etiquette guide for responding to questions in the cataloging listserv. It feels like we sometimes we're not sure if everyone that asks a question is getting their questions answered, whether it's in a timely fashion or answered at all. So we're putting just an etiquette guide for everyone to know the best way to respond to someone, like replying to everyone instead of just replying directly to the person, so everyone is on the same page of what the questions are, especially if they have a question on what someone replies it to and if that's right or wrong. We're also continually working on the cataloging manual chapters. We've divvied them up to update to 3.2. As always, they are an ongoing process. As Anna mentioned, the fall workshop is on the 15th of November from 10 to 12. We're working it with the Patron Services Committee. The cataloging presenters will cover monographic parts, searching strategies, and item alerts. We've also, the procedures guide was upgraded greatly and merged into one document for much easier searchability. I know it's helped me a lot because I never remember which is in which chapter. And then our next meeting is in December.
The content meeting was canceled, so Gary's not here to give you that update. They'll meet again in.
Hi, I'm Lori. We met in September as well, and you've already mentioned some of the things that we're going to do. We had new people, and so it was kind of get to know what we're doing, including me. And the main thing we worked on was the language, notice language. So that's all I have. We'll meet in December too.
And we're working on the workshop.
Oh, yes. Well, yes, she, she mentioned that.
So that was my fault for the language. I blame somebody. We had someone come in and was confused because we have a reciprocal Tippecanoe County Libraries with us, so a lot of we share patrons. And he wanted to know why he wasn't specific, why he got a notice that said, you might be able to do this. So he said, why can't you be like them? So I wrote an email and I said, well, to which Anna replied, well, we're part of a consortium and not everyone does auto renewals. So the language is more general. So that's why I said maybe there's a way. So when I talked to him, he liked it. So I said, well, if we could put language that makes it more understandable to everyone, we'll have less people walking and talking to our people saying, what's wrong with you? Basically.
Well, those are two nice library systems.
So, anyway, thanks.
Yes.
I don't think the strategic plan committees had a chance to meet chat. So we'll talk again in December about that. Oh. I don't know where to do this earlier. Trouble with this thing. Oh, no, thanks. And this is Sherry. She would know if I could. All right. You guys have this in your packet as well, if you don't want to read the screen, but this is the current language. It was written before auto renewals and before fine free, so it was definitely time to review it. You guys asked the Patron Services group to take a look at it at your last meeting, and they came up with a very simplified version.
I like it.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time.
It was a lot of time to like get it bigger and then go back down.
Yeah.
It
has to be a mess before it can get better.
But yeah, the takeaway was there were just so many scenarios that trying to make the language as brief as possible while still being representative was my best bet. So I'm not sure your patron who wanted more specificity about his individual situation will be pleased by this,
But part of the point of all of that was to direct people to their local library or to use my account.
Yeah.
Please use my account. It's great.
Will the library info, what all will be included in library info? Can it have the email? I mean, I encourage my patrons to reply to the emails. Now, Jason told us the last time that doesn't always work. I haven't heard from anyone that it wasn't working and has tried that, because we do that a lot.
if you have a reply to in Evergreen, then it should be there. Otherwise, we just go back to our unmonitored. This did have language that said, don't respond to this because it's not monitored.
People don't pay
consistent.
attention to that.
Yeah. No, I know, they reply to it anyway, and I tell them,
Yeah.
please try, because I think that's the easiest way.
I know it's your address. I can check and find out if we can add the email to that.
I was just curious, I think that could be helpful to people if that email address is right there.
Because it's populated from the org unit settings, is that
Yes.
correct?
Oh, I didn't realize that. Because my email's populated on all the notices. I don't know. Must
you're,
be.
you're in org unit setting.
Just the person of record on the ordinance setting.
Yeah.
So if you have a generic, you got it.
Oh, it's fine. No, I only get a few replies to like overdue notices or things like this, so.
I've
Sorry,
never,
go ahead, overdue notice it. Well,
Or is it-
Sounds like it already is part of this, but I will confirm.
I know ours comes to us because when we started live, that was one of the admin settings that I switched a
Yes.
million years ago. I don't know if we're still telling people to do that.
The library settings thing had to be updated because too many big, how it works. Too many of the big email companies release separate emails because the customers spoofing.
Yeah.
Because it was coming from one address and then to another. So everything comes from Evergreen. I think you can have a reply to if your library setting is turned on.
That's what I have done. Yeah. I don't know if my organic information has to be- No idea.
So many organic settings.
Most of the time I'm giving all that stuff to them. I don't know.
Because there's so many.
So do we need a motion or does this come as a supported motion since it's from a committee?
If you want to go ahead and approve it, I don't know that the complex language.
Would anyone like
I'll
to make a
that
motion?
we accept it, then you don't have to worry about whether or not you need one.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the proposed wording, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Yay.
I don't know how quickly we'll be able to get that implemented. When we get back. As has been discussed and has gotten to be an issue here a couple of times now, Google Maps is becoming no longer an option for us to work with. First up, because they're starting to charge, and secondly, because even if we paid their fees, we still didn't have the kind of maps we have now, because they're doing away with the product supports it. So I've been looking at other mapping softwares that, as far as I've been able to tell, all offer us the functionalities we're looking for. The three that I have isolated right now are Mango Map, Mapbox, and Policy Map. My preference at this point is for Mapbox. It has variable pricing. So when I say pricing ranges from $1,500 to $3,000 a year, they are the ones who actually extend both ends there. The other two are about $2,500 a year for us to use. But Mapbox offers up to 50,000 lookups a month before they start charging you. So, and then it's $5,000 or $5 per 1,000 lookups after that. Based on our current use of Google Maps, we're probably looking at $250 a month then. But if we don't have those extra lookups, then we don't have any charge at all. So I wanted to get your okay to target up to $3,000 towards getting a map service in place before Google is throwing out numbers here in a couple months.
What are the features of Mapbox that you think is stand out? The pricing or?
Pricing a lot. They seem to be a lot more upfront. They also offer a free trial, so that I quite like. Thing that frustrated me about Mango, their pricing is very transparent, but the only way to try it is to sit through sales pitch first, and yeah.
And you don't want to.
Not
I don't blame you.
especially. I talked to a lot of vendors already. But I mean, I will, if somebody has any feedback on any of these or has used any of them, I'm happy to go ahead. I will obviously probably go ahead and check in with all of them to make sure we are getting our best option. Policy Maps, the one that I'm the shakiest on the pricing on, they only do bids, so.
Is there a way to put a cap on it, since you said the pricing is variable? I mean, if for some reason you were getting extra searches or?
I
course.
haven't seen
You know what I mean?
anybody touting that as a feature, shall we say.
I don't know if that could happen or would happen, but everything's possible.
Well, the $3,000 assumes that we have at least 100,000
Which seems
addresses
like a
looked
million.
up
Yeah, I mean, just
every
like,
month.
right.
So,
Plenty of cushion.
yeah,
Just-
I think if anything, particularly if we look at something like Mapbox, we would definitely be more in the $1,500 a year range. The other two, there's no question, it would be about $2,500 or up.
Apart from that, they all offer the features that you're looking
They
for.
all offer custom bounded regions, they all offer search functionality, search lookup, geocoding. So, down the line, if we wanted to do more with them, Mapbox offers things like navigation. So we could work that into the patron map where they could say, okay, where are the library nearest me, and give me directions to get there. So they have full APIs that will support that.
How much on your end is going to need done once you go forward with it? Not that that changes our decision. I'm just curious.
That'll probably be very consistent regardless of which vendor we go with. I'm probably looking, because none of them will geocode quite the way that Google does.
There might be a lot of setup initially.
Yeah, just because we'll have to set up all the geobounds, but I mean, it's a few days' work. So it's certainly doable. I know we want to make sure that we have something that's going to work for everybody before
Mhm.
it just disappears.
Before it doesn't.
I'm sorry, Google Maps is leaving.
Google Maps is not leaving. Google Maps is changing their structure. I realized so many people were leveraging paid projects off the back of their stuff that now you have to pay to get access to their maps. They restrict how many freeloads you get. That's one of the things we've
Is that
run into.
businesses or is that private too?
I said,
Everybody? I have it on my phone.
It's not necessarily the same as just maps, Google Maps. It's the way that people are using. So some of the features now will be
Okay.
behind a.
and that's the other
Thank
half.
you.
Yeah. The thing that
You'll
lets
still
us
be able
put-
to look up things in Google Maps.
Yeah, but the thing that lets us put that green square on the
Sure.
map and the dot, that's what.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't, on our website, we used to have Google Maps to, hey, this is where we are. We can't use that anymore without buying a license or key
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to find a different.
Where you using?
I think using an embedded version of Google Maps, trying to find a workaround using maybe a plugin with WordPress. I'm not quite, I'd have to double check.
Yeah, and there are certainly options. One of the things we discussed in-house is why aren't libraries just using Gateway? And for a while, it was because they weren't loading all the information into Gateway in all of the counties. But right now, the big issue is we can't embed that.
Right.
So while libraries still certainly could and should use it, if there's a question about where someone resides, for us to expose to the patrons, we need to have something that's.
And they have used Google Maps as well.
They have, I'm very curious to
And
see what
it
they use.
breaks fairly regular.
Yeah, well,
You can find the information, but the map itself, which people tend to look towards, is not always functional.
yeah, the state library's already transitioned most of their in-house maps to alternate APIs, but none of them have that spatial functionality that we're used to using on library regions. So, otherwise, I'd have Jeremy working on this.
I think the high end of that
Is
low enough that I would say, get whatever your favorite is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Is that a motion?
I'll make it a motion, but I just want to say that
For the
too,
approval of up to 3,000.
gladly.
I'll second that. Perfect. Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
it's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
I was just curious. What if something? I don't know. some malicious program.
Yeah,
You know, like suddenly we got a
million searches or
$10,000
something,
bill.
All right.
Right.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
I-
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, this is actually.
Yeah, this one came from me. We had been talking before, we had approved for basically any willing adult, right, to come in and say that they would be responsible for a juvenile card. And some other libraries that I talked with have been, I heard of one who had a youth access card, and I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. Maybe it's something we want to look at. Where a minor can sign up for the card themselves. So there's no signature needed, but it's a very restricted card. With this particular library, they limit it to 5 items, so they can only take 5 books. And I don't know that they even let them take videos and things like that. I think it's pretty much just to get the kid books. And then, you know, they can convert it to a regular card once they turn 18, or if parents want to come in and sign for their child, then they can convert it to a regular juvenile child card if they want to. I thought it was an interesting idea to where maybe we can expand some access, and I don't know how much need there is for that.
Well, when the agenda then came out, I did get a community comment that from a library that would like to do away with sponsorship entirely for anyone under the, or over the age of 13. So, yeah, I will mention it would have to be something that's opt-in, I think,
That was gonna be my question.
because we have libraries that won't issue cards to
Yeah.
juveniles at all. So,
What's the concern on hot topic, the districting and like, because it's a limited card, would we not be concerned about where they're living, whether they're in the,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to think about.
this language
Right.
is borrowed entirely from.
From what,
Right,
like,
I-
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be whatever. It's similar when I heard about it, I thought, oh, well, that's similar to what we're doing with the transitional cards. But it's for juveniles, it would be for kids.
Well, and
So,
I love anything that gets a library card in a child's hand and lets them use the library. I guess I'm wondering if they're,
I think that's a good question.
yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Services.
and does it include borrowing? I mean, from other, is it local or is
Is
it
it local service only?
local,
Actually,
right?
I think if it's something that's opt-in, it's going to have to be a local service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so.
It'd be nice to have something like that available as a local, yeah. I know I have situations where it would be nice to do sort of a, which I might
We
do
had that,
anyway.
Right.
we had that at Tippecanoe County, which
Without
of
telling
course
anybody.
is its own insulated thing, and it was 11 and up.
11 and up can sign up for their own cards.
And was it limited then?
Well, it's Tippecanoe County, so.
No, I mean, was the card limited in its privileges?
Could they check out as many as any irregular
Yes,
patron? could?
yes, and they had access to digital resources as well.
I hate to be the one to say it, but I could see this. We have a lot of families that they just swap around cards.
Oh, yeah.
And so they max out and swap, max out and swap, max out and swap.
Mm.
And generally, it's the kids that the adults end up using their cards
Right.
when they max out. So just the chance of abuse has me.
Well, I would say too, we didn't necessarily publicize it. It was if somebody came up to the counter and said, can I get a library card? And we would ask, is your parent here, or something like that? And if they said no, then we would ask for their version of ID and no other questions beyond that, because it's
So that's something else we would need to iron out.
Mhm.
How do we do identity verification and residency verification and so forth if there are no adults involved?
That's just
For
usually a
system
class
requirements, this is adding another,
Yes.
Yes.
So this isn't something that's going to happen quickly.
right.
I don't know the use.
No, I would,
They
we just
can-
don't
they can-
have
I'm just saying.
staff on hand with experience to put together, test it, and make sure it's where we want it to be.
to pay for services.
And I don't care one way or the other. I just thought, oh, what an interesting idea, you know, for kids who, for whatever reason,
I can see it would be beneficial.
and it would be very limited to where the chances of us losing 100, I mean, we're not gonna lose 100 items here, where if they took a regular card, we could.
We would pretty much know and be like, okay.
Yeah. You know, they could take
We won't give
whether
another
it's
one, yeah.
3 or 5 or whatever, it just would be, it would limit our
Yeah.
exposure to loss. So.
I'm kind of, I would say I'm in favor of exploring the idea. How's that for on the fence?
Anna, it would have to be a separate profile in order for it to work. So that's why I said it would take us a little while to get set up, because not only would we need policies to go with it, it would also have to be built in Evergreen.
Although I will say this is probably the kind of thing where I would just issue somebody a student card. It would be nice to be able to limit the number of items they could get on that, I suppose, if we wanted to. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't occasionally. Okay, I'm saying I occasionally would issue a student card in this situation just because.
And since we were talking about unsponsored minors, would this be a fine grade profile or not?
Yeah, Judy's saying the same.
I think it would be.
Or I guess maybe the question is, what's the difference between this and a student card? Student card is, you have to have a parent with you, but I don't always have a parent that's issuing a student card.
We have a number of situations where cards are being issued at the school and the teachers being responsible. So, since we have opened that up, it's just a question of, you know, is there room and enough interest to go ahead and offer libraries the option?
Make it formal. What you've been doing behind the scenes,
Right.
you're allowed to do.
You're legit.
It's always nice to bring people into the policy fold.
Well, and I know not all libraries offer student cards anyway.
Right, student cards also get 100 items.
Right.
And
That's why I
Which
said it would
is
be
what
nice
I would
to have
want
that
to
limit.
avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't
Well,
want kids
I don't
to-
let them know that.
Right, but still,
She's got them on subjects, so
Yeah.
it would be very easy
Yeah.
to get one.
right.
Yes, I
And
like.
there's no,
Yeah.
there's no material
Yeah, we have-
restrictions,
yeah.
and I know when we talked about that with transitional, there was.
There was
The
discussion.
committee
Stop you
really felt that it was in everybody's best interest to not restrict too much by type, unless it's something really expensive like equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I do like to have the option of having that limited, no ID card kind of idea,
So would
maybe
you,
even for an adult. Like,
And I would think, and Judy mentioned, what term would they be? I mean, I would recommend a 1-year term, but that's, you know.
1 year, 5 items, just print materials or something.
so do you have to come up with another color card, or you would just
Probably
use a
use a
blue
blue
card?
Just use a blue card would be easiest, since it's local.
So the kid might think they have a regular student card and they come up and they only have 5.
Well, that's where there has to be lots of education.
You can put a bright orange sticker on it like our church does for allergies.
And a lot of people don't know what their upper limit is anyway.
Right.
They're like, you're limited to what you can carry.
That's basically what I tell
Yeah.
That's
people.
what I tell
If
people.
you can
Yeah.
carry it, you
Carry
can
'em,
take
you
it.
can have 'em.
Yes.
I'm not gonna
So,
give it a card. Well, I do. but-
and I would probably, I mean, I'm not on this committee, by the way, so I'm not a voting person, but I would probably up the limit to 10.
I was
5.
kind of thinking the same thing. But I was almost thinking expand it to a no ID card. But then you,
Anyone in general.
anyone in general, a no ID card, just print materials, limited 10, something like that. Because I have this, you know. I don't,
Why just print materials?
just because.
Because
I
we'll
was-
never see our DVDs again.
Yeah, but they're cheaper than both.
Yes, they are.
That is true. Yeah.
Take 10 of them at a
Yeah.
time.
Good point.
If there's
But I'm also thinking, why not e-resources? I mean, I understand the whole license models and things like that.
Process cards are for library district residents.
So as long as they can prove they're in your district, we can do whatever, but we do still have to have.
That has to be proved. Which could be a class schedule that had an address on
Yeah, I
it,
mean,
or
especially if we're talking about teenagers.
Older kids, right?
Yeah, it's not so difficult. They'll have something. That will have-
immunization. I'm just kidding.
I can get it on the computer and print off their schedule and have it or something. That's easy. Depending on the school system, I know not everybody's totally automated yet. Seems like more and more.
I'm afraid we have to refer it to.
Patron services?
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah,
otherwise we'll
I
sit
would
here all
agree.
day trying to- Maybe they can determine if they think there's a need or a.
Right, because if they're not, then, I mean, if nobody
we're all
would
just-
use it, then why put you
I
guys
know
through
that
the
there's
trouble
several
of having to
examples I
do
can
it?
just think of the top of my head where that would have been really nice.
Yeah.
Stay within the laws, Wendy's.
So give us the chance to run by the water. All right, so
So the no ID card is probably not a good idea.
Just come out.
we are officially referring this to patron services, yes? All right.
Two staff. Dozen patrons.
I know you walk out the front door, you see them walking out of the house every single day going to school. You're like, they must live here.
Yeah.
Let's see, one, schools, resources, digital resources, yeah. So preference for including digital resources in that. And I assume by saying that you aren't referring to anything except Overdrive, because that's the only one that's restricted.
Right.
Limited to the 5 items.
It sounds like this may be something that actually would function well if we, for a survey. Yeah.
And on a part of the thing that we're talking about is that there wouldn't be parents that would be responsible for them. So that would be,
So it'd be on the library.
yeah, it would be the
Right.
library's loss.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the items are damaged, nobody pays.
Right.
Unless the kid chooses to.
Which would be cool.
You can make them volunteer.
Actually, you can't.
You
can
have to,
change it
we
for a
can.
bill.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah. Well, ask them if they want to clear their card, they gotta read, take off.
Reading they can do, but they can't
Working,
like help
they
with
cannot.
shelving or
Yeah.
washing things.
Forced
or
labor,
various
child
things that
labor
are-
laws. When he's keeping it.
We know.
Jeez, Wendy, you keep bringing up the law.
And on a, yes, we were talking about something that would be 100% optional, just like the transitional program is. I'll see about putting together surveys so that payment services has something else to work with, or a little more,
Be good.
a little more background from the community.
Me again.
Yep.
So this is really two things: online registration and elimination of physical cards. One I see as near term, and one in the distance. Online registration has affected us because Purdue comes back in session, which is right by us. So I put a little sticky thing on our website and encourage them to use the online registration form, which I found, because I open Circ Desk every Monday morning, I never use because it's quicker for me to just say hello and start typing than tell them to go over to the laptop that we've set up for them to. But I started to think, if I can get a mortgage online without saying hello to anyone, then you should be able to get a library card. And I notice when I watch our people work that use that, they end up doing everything. So I wonder, can we, and I have this thing pulled up, we could probably do most of that. Basically right now we could have it so that someone walks in, gives you a valid ID, and you just hit okay and hand them their card. You can literally scan the card and hand it to them. without going through a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know if that's all home rule. If for instance, the system could just assign certain values, for instance, resident or reciprocal. If it can tell through the mapping. No, okay. So that's something that would have to be done.
We need to know their township. That wouldn't be on their license, I don't think, would it?
It's something that has to be.
Township,
It depends on the
township
library.
residency depends on which library district you're in.
Well, okay, so if you live in a county where there's different libraries.
For us, for instance,
Yeah.
which is interesting for us because you can live in West Lafayette and not be in the county for library service, which is all kinds of fun.
Scott, do you use this? Is this what you're pointing them to? When
Yeah.
you send out? Okay.
I mean, for the page, yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, the whole concept with the first part of that is to make it as quick and easy for the patron, the new patron walking in, and your staff, so they can get back to doing, more library stuff, less transactional stuff, especially if you're in one of those libraries that gets the swell of people in certain times of the year. If you don't, it probably doesn't affect you.
I guess I thought we were already partway there.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to close the gap completely, so it becomes literally someone walks in and says, I filled in the thing, you hit upload pending patron, and literally just swipe the card, hand it to them, and say you're good to go. Do you have any questions?
The thing with getting a mortgage, though, is that you have to upload a lot of private stuff to secure places.
Yeah, I was a little nut.
Well, but it is a consideration because we're looking at private stuff. If and it requires that if we're talking about.
You're able to prove who you are.
Yeah, and we don't want to have a picture of their driver's license on file,
No.
which is something we need to look at.
Right. No, I'm saying they walk in and just show you that, and then you confirm that what they gave you was correct, and you send them on their way.
The other settings that aren't in the pre-registration form here.
Yeah, just see if it's can be more filled out beforehand.
Well, stats, of course, are by individual libraries, so we can put those in a standardized form. The patron types, because that varies by library, how those are even assigned, whether or not they use limited access or not, that's something that will still have to be done around.
The home rule stuff will also.
But some of the stuff could be done before somebody walks in, but it still requires human intervention.
Right.
I'm trying to think what else currently is generic enough. I can look and see if there are any other fields we can look at. That may require a small development project, but if it's interesting enough.
Which we're looking for.
Yeah.
And every developer in the US is going to be here, so.
Yeah, so I'll put that on my list. That and the self-check as my whole, yes. And then so the elimination of physical is more of, as we look to the future, what is the future of a physical library card as far as what we're doing, our future as relates to a physical library card? And that's something we're not going to answer outside of a bar. But I don't know, just is that something to think that we might move toward? What happens if this physical thing is no longer relevant in tomorrow's world?
I really need some caffeine for that.
What does it mean? What does it mean for Evergreen and as it sits right
Well,
now?
and I know what you're talking about, and I think it's cool. I'm also though reminded that we have libraries that have not been automated at all.
Right.
And so.
And that's part of the discussion
Right,
or
of
question.
course.
And we have taken steps in that direction with allowing digital replicas.
I just got to buy scanners that'll read it.
And that is,
Yeah.
there have to be scanners for that.
If anyone has a list they want to send me, that'd
The
be great.
price has dropped dramatically. Look for 2D scanners. What you need.
What are they?
2D.
Well,
2D.
I like our self-check, or either
Because they're 1D.
I
But
need
the price has dropped dramatically. So.
Yeah, we were actually just looking at those the other
Yes.
day. Like, wow, $36.
I'm like, all right, I'll get one of those.
But anyway, so there.
45.
That's
So you're talking about, let's just say, okay, you're discussing elimination of physical cards, would you have an app on your phone then that would have a barcode on it for your library card? So you would use that. We already have a app our library uses that we have people put their phones, I'm sorry, their library card barcode on. And we did have to buy special scanners to do that. So it works at our library, but if they go to somebody's library, it doesn't have that.
Yeah. And that was
the
Taru's
scanner.
point about not every library is going to be able
How
to.
many people use it, Karen, out of curiosity?
Our app,
Yeah.
quite a,
Yeah.
I don't know offhand how many actual people use it. I do know that a lot of the younger people, and by younger than me, I would say 30s and 40s, in their 30s and 40s, probably use it the most. And we've had to have several times where we would just say, did you know we have an app? Or they'll come in and say, well, I don't have my library card, but they always have their phone with them.
Yeah.
And so we say, well, we have a library app, and we'll help them get on it right then and put their barcode in and stuff and use it. And once they do it, they really like it.
It's not checking out, but what you said reminded me. There's one of the Evergreen libraries, I can't tell you who it is right now, is testing a new scanner that would allow you to register a patron by scanning your driver's license.
Is it Grand Rapids?
Oh, wow.
No,
Okay, because they were talking about it a few years ago.
So that would suck the information from your library card,
That's
I mean,
gonna
your
terrify people.
driver's license?
But that was kind
Wow.
of one of the things I was
Right,
thinking
that's
about
what you're-
when,
they don't be doing it. I've been out by
Yeah.
the shops here recently and they just scan.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
to, when you buy alcohol or something, sometimes they'll just scan your license.
I know, I find
Yeah.
it strange.
Kroger's
too.
do that.
So it will definitely, it will terrify some people, and it will.
Well, and I would
completely
urge
gas
when
somebody
when we're
else.
talking about something like this, great, but at the same time, don't leave other people.
Well, that's the
like,
thing. If
Or
it's an option,
my
that's
older
cool.
patron who, that my patrons who don't even have cell phones, yeah.
Yeah, we have people
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
it.
or just doesn't have
I like to point out, I didn't see this as an either or, just an
Right.
and.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean,
Or
someday
me, who aspires.
I would
Someday.
love to get rid of receipt printers. That's not happening in this generation. Some people just love them. And there's not an age group necessarily, but that's a different subject.
What was their development with the pre-registration thing happening specifically where I'm wondering is duplication?
There is not right now,
I don't know if
No.
that's something anyone is working on.
neither in the development initiative nor,
The handful of people we've had come in and say they filled it out, they're either not our township or they
Mhm.
already have. So it's really not helpful, we don't use it, we don't advertise it.
Since the search aspect of it is where it's coming in problems, and that's an active bug that they're going to try to push it the hack away.
Mhm.
See if somebody wants to take a stab at it. I don't think it should be terrible, it's not triggering for some reason. And somebody just needs to look at it and figure out why it's not.
Which we would still check anyway, but if they were to put in a driver's license number, they even first, middle, initial, last, if all three matched, then it would just be like possible
Yeah.
duplicate.
Yeah.
So,
I think that would be that could be a pretty bite-sizey development thing. It could expand a little bit.
The license thing was interesting because I thought of, when I was first thinking that, the first thought was, how do we make this, when we have 30 kids on a Saturday walk in from Purdue and just say library cards, and there's like 2 people. The first was just workflow. Second was there's the state library right next to the Capitol, licenses, state. I wonder if there's some way in the future to,
Be like Michigan.
Mhm.
well, I can say that, but sure.
That's what Michigan does, it's your library card, your driver's
Yeah.
license. For candy.
I'm slow rolling it though. I don't want to say that. I just want, well, yeah, kind of.
The other thing too, I think that is important is to encourage people in the community to check their pending patrons. I don't know that everybody's checking, and it's easy to, because it's not the fire that's happening in the morning when you come in, but to check that list and maybe look at some of those match points and see, and maybe head the people off at the pass and say, you don't need to come in here, you need to go to Avon.
Yeah, because they put a phone number or something. I mean, we need a way to
Name.
contact them.
Yeah,
There are lines for email and telephone number.
email is not a required one.
I don't think telephone numbers are either.
It is not. So it may be something to make one, because here's the thing, they've been online to access this.
Yeah.
It's likely that they have an email address. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Or a phone number, one or the other, make one or the other required to contact them. Or they can just show up and say, you need to give us contact.
Is anyone really using that? I mean, other than,
Yes.
I know you said it, but.
Yeah, I've heard from a few libraries up north, and they would like to see it streamlined as well.
Like, I think it's a lot more helpful if you're more isolated than you are where.
Well, it could be a really nice feature, similar to what Scott's saying, that people are used to signing up for ridiculous. I mean, I signed up for a bank account, HSA, without like talking to anybody, doing anything other than just filling out a form. I'm like, really? I used to like have to give blood for this, but I didn't.
It's mostly, like when we have those days where there's a new student population 2 blocks away, and you have 2 people at a circ desk, which is more than you need, but you get groups that come in, and then the patrons who are just wanting to check out one book have to wait a half an hour, and then, I mean, it literally changes the whole dynamic of the place while that happens, so.
We kind of rolled over tying it in class visits where we'll have the teacher, bring in all the forms that she sent home with the kids and then we search and make sure they don't already have a card and all this.
Sure.
And then she hands cards back out. So we thought about, we have the teacher.
Yeah.
But she has no way of searching to see if they already have a card. So then it's.
Well, and that's another thing to consider too. So if you have those things that pop up in this public interface that say, there may be a duplicate card here, now we're talking about privacy. Because somebody could get in there and put their kids or their next door neighbors match points in there and say,
Husband.
yeah, I didn't want to go too
We've had
creepy, but
those.
I figured everybody else could go there.
That's true.
And so,
Yeah, I don't know that it would help to do anything like that patron side, but it definitely should exist outside.
Yes.
It's easier to see.
Mhm.
Like I say, I know that's an active bug that's out there, so I.
the search.
Status of it, yeah.
It'd be cool though.
Is there anything else? All right, our next meeting is scheduled for December 10th at 1 p.m.
Hopefully dry.
Same that
not too
place,
cold.
same that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's Indiana. We don't know.
It could be 80.
I was gonna say, it'll be 80, there'll be
Is
a
there a motion
tornado,
to
and then we'll
adjourn?
have a snowstorm.
So, motion,
All right.
Was that a motion?
yeah.
It was.
Second.
Okay. See y'all next time.
So Laurie, I sent a picture of the new language to the person who actually had the interaction with the patron before I talked to them. She says, I like the changes, especially taking out the bit about the overdue fines. It seems less negative. So
Bookkeeping workshop.
that was why I brought it, so
Yeah,
We usually go to the.
I'll be around.
it all went full circle in a positive way.
Yeah, one person.
That's not always what happens when I get involved.
Assuming they still do there.
They do.
Thank you, everybody.
So I was
So when are you coming to?